Welcome back. Episode 131 of The Grouch and the Brainstorm. And I'm Mike, and I'm here today with Matt.
What's happening?
And Coleman.
Hello.
Say hi, Coleman. You can say hi, Coleman. There you go. So Coleman has been on the show before. As you all know, he has his own theme music.
And that's been like a year and a half since we got to play that or something. It's been a while.
Straight from 1978, and I play it every time we mention Coleman's name on the show. And even if you seem grainy whenever the final video uploads, Coleman, you won't be. The video is going to be just fine. So the software that I use takes care of all that. So it will be okay. So, Matt, any announcements before we move off into the next topic?
Yes, but you got to play our theme music.
All right, you ready?
Come on.
It's just announcement music. That's what.
Yeah. We're not as cool as Coleman to have our own walkout music like Major League Baseball players have, But a couple of things. So talked to a guy in South Africa named Greg W. Don't want to say his last name unless he would want me to, so I'm going to leave it at that. But real nice guy. Reached out on social media, said he's listening to us through Spotify, and very, very nice, and we appreciate him doing that. And also a young lady that I was at a treatment center working at. This young lady was a client there then, and she's got out and done the things that we're supposed to do. And she had 2 years of sobriety a couple of days ago. Katie is her name. So pretty proud of her. So
Congratulations, Katie.
mm-hmm.
And Coleman, did we lose you, or do we still have you on vocal?
I am here.
Okay. He's in and out. Coleman's in and out, man. He is in and out.
This is why we don't have Coleman on, but every couple of years he's wild. You never know what's going to happen.
I guess, Matt, my one question I have is, do you talk to a lot of dudes in South Africa?
Not usually. This is probably the first one. I'm 46, so.
You said you met him on a social media or a dating site. Which one?
Yes, it wasn't farmersonly.com or anything like that. It was none of that. It was on Instagram. So
farmersonly.com is still a thing.
I have no idea, but I like the sound of it. If I was going to go on one, that would be the one.
Well, you never see their commercials. So they either A, they are all hitched at this point, or B, there's no longer a need. That niche has been filled.
There's another one from an episode that's long since deleted. We were asked to delete, but someone said, what's the one, too many fish in the sea or something?
Plenty of fish.
That one. Yeah, plenty of fish. There you go. So
yeah.
I don't know if fish is what you want.
Coleman have a mutual friend and Coleman doesn't even know this, but I think you ran into him at your place of employment this past week, Coleman, and you worked for him years ago. But he used to stay on that website. I mean, Plenty of Fish was every morning he would talk about his fishing expeditions. So I don't know how it worked out. I don't know. I guess it really depends on what bait you have, Matt.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Depends on what lure you're using.
You may want to stay off of it. You're liable to catch a great white.
Well, Lacey would kill me, number one. And number two, I wouldn't know where to start. So we'll just leave it at that both ways. So
be thankful for what you got. So, Coleman,
that's it. What's
been going on with you since we haven't seen you in a long time? Like maybe 2 years since you've been on the show. And anything good, or what's been happening with you in the past 2 years?
Well, I was unemployed for one of those.
Good.
So
it's a little more than one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little longer than 1 year. It was a while, but I mean, other than that, same old, man. I still make, to this day, I still do a lot of meetings. Still have sponsees. Still, I mean, when I'm not at work or looking for work or thinking about work, or I'm I'm plugged into the program. So,
That's good. That really is good.
How long you been sober, Coleman?
12 years, a little over 12 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 2013, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's weird. The other day was
Yeah.
September September 17th, and for some reason that day I just kind of I looked at the date and I thought, oh hell, I've been sober 12 and a half years. Like a small child that has to give you the half.
Yes, yes.
Well, I still say that too. Like in December, I'll start saying half, because but I do. I start saying the half. I don't know. I want every bit of recognition I can get, for doing the right thing. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not even doing anything special, but I be damned. Tell me congratulations for doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And that's just, so
Well,
I just,
too. I mean, we do this beginning of sobriety, and you get a chip the first day you come in. Then you get one every month for a year, and then you get one at 18 months, and then 2 years, and after that it's once a year. So it's kind of like, man, I got to wait a long time, to get another chip or whatever. So yeah, I mean,
Mike, tell me,
and my favorite's when it's your birthday. Oh, go ahead, Coleman.
do you get this being a podcast, like do you like if you mention a product or anything, do you get any kind of special recognition or
Well, here's the thing. I haven't been paid yet, and I haven't been sued yet. So, if that we have been on the air for 2.5 years, 2.5 years, and the show has made $19 total. So, and I've mentioned a lot of products. So, I
yes.
mean, I never mention the place I work. I don't say the name of it. And that's just because I don't want a whole bunch of fans hanging out front for autographs every day.
yes,
And like yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need groupies and stuff like that. So I try not to do that. And on top of that, I do try to keep that separate. But no, I don't think there's anything. Now I will say this: like the music you heard, I can't play over a certain amount of seconds of that particular music, or I would have to pay royalties. So I limit it to about a little 4-second clip of whatever it is, 4 to 5 seconds. And that sounds strange, I know, but if I played the whole song or something like that, I would have to, probably be subject to something, whatever it is. Even though the show is a nonprofit, it's a nonprofit. We don't make money, so we strictly do it to spread the message. And we have a lot of people who actually listen, and they send comments to us and talk to Matt on Instagram and me sometimes. They send like messages and of hope and stuff like that. So we just kind of just kept it going, and that's why we talk silly and we have jokes. And a lot of times I'll go through some of the stats of the show because we are in 31 countries. But the the main thing of it is just that people do listen, and they have questions about different subjects that we talk about. And and we're going to talk about today, might as well segue into it. But before I do that, Coleman is now gainfully employed, right? So he pulled that one off. And I didn't want our audience, once they found out who he was, you'd be job offers coming from all over the world. Um, and then Matt's got some dudes in South Africa. I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll figure that out later.
Top secret.
But but we this particular subject, and one of the reasons why I was going to talk about um first off, Matt Coleman, you may not have listened to the last couple episodes or any since the last time you've been on, as most people don't. But um, but we 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 talked about a doctor's opinion and how sometimes we hear newcomers think that the doctor we're talking about in the doctor's opinion is Dr. Bob. I've heard a lot of newcomers think it's Dr. Bob. So we kind of went through a little small bio of Dr. Silkworth and what he did and his degrees, and that he was the doctor totally separate, wasn't an alcoholic. And then we read through the doctor's opinion, both of the letters, and explained the purpose of them. And that way, like if we have a newcomer out there that hears the doctor's opinion, he doesn't think it's Dr. Bob. But one of the reasons why we chose this show, or why I wanted you to come on the show, is a lot of times we hear in early sobriety, I did, how about that? I don't know about we, but I did. And one of my first experiences with this was actually when my sponsor passed away. But my first sponsor passed away. But we hear the term gratitude list, and we hear it. Sometimes we hear it so much, it's almost like how it works. It's kind of redundant. It just kind of white noise and not something we take serious. I personally started making a gratitude list the day that my new sponsor told me, because I was so upset about my old sponsor passing. He said, start making a gratitude list. And that's been a long time ago. It's been over a decade ago, maybe over 12 years ago. I started making that gratitude list, and I haven't stopped. I just kind of just kept going with this ongoing gratitude list. And a lot of times I need to go back to it just to make sure that I'm paying attention to what I'm putting on there, not just, I'm grateful for the H in H2O, or the carbon footprint that I'm leaving by doing this podcast, or something crazy. But Coleman every day sends out a gratitude list. I get it every morning. I used to get it every morning about 7. Now I get it every morning at 5. But he sends a gratitude list out every day, and it has a summary. You can tell what's going on in Coleman's life by reading. If you read it I read it every day, believe it or not, I do. And if you read it every day, you can tell what's going on in Coleman's life. And so, Coleman, 1, how did that get started? 2, how do you keep up? And 3, does it do you any good still? Is it something you do for therapeutic purposes, or give us the skinny on that?
So, believe it or not, and I'll start this off by saying one of the best things that came out of COVID was the friends I made through Zoom. Um, so if for those listening out there on the podcast, don't I don't want anyone thinking that they can't get sober just by going to, it has to be a face-to-face meeting. Like, I think I could get sober. There were people that sobered up during 2020, during the pandemic, that got sober and stayed sober. And so I was on a Zoom meeting, and I met a guy. We were going to a meeting, and we were actually going to the Lambda meeting in Dallas, Texas, by Zoom. He was in Nevada. I was here in Shreveport, and we exchanged information, and he ended up moving to Dallas. But anyways, through this exchange of information and texting and keeping in touch and blah blah blah, he started sending me a gratitude list, and I had never. I'm like you, Mike. I had always heard write one, or do one, or and I had never put pen to paper. And I thought, oh, yeah, it always sounded kind of hokey to me, write a gratitude list. Like, I'm like, okay, like, I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful for my car, for air and food. Um, but one day he sent me a list, and I forgot, it must have had 7 things on it that particular day. because I started writing 7 things to match his 7 things, and I've not deviated from that since then. And I don't know how long it's been. I don't know if it was at the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. But I've been sending a list out every day of 7 things I'm grateful for. And what I try to do is, instead of I'm grateful for, and now that I say this, I hate that it's never really been on my list, but I really don't talk about sobriety much. I am thankful to be sober, but I try to look at my day, the day prior, and I go through my day, and I'm like, okay, what happened in my day that kind of makes it different from another day? Like, who did I talk to? What interactions did I have? What are my friends doing? I like to do shout outs to my friends a lot. Like I have friends in sobriety that have kids, so watching them raise their kids in sobriety, is a pretty cool thing. Um, just I just started with 7 things, and I haven't stopped, and I try to make each day a little bit different from the one before, so you're not getting up every morning and reading, oh, he's thankful for air, he's thankful for like the things. I don't want to say the
Yeah.
things that we should be grateful for, or um like are commonplace, because trust me, I'm grateful for those things, but I just try to think of things that make it a little bit different, and make me think, really, when I sit down to write the list. I'm like, because sometimes, if it's a day that I've slept all day, or I napped, I didn't have any interactions, I didn't do anything, um it's really challenging to come up with 7 things.
I bet. I bet. So does it help you?
um someone told me, or I've heard in the rooms, you cannot at the same time be hateful and grateful.
Okay.
um
I like
I
that.
can. you know I can write a gratitude list, and I can still be a pretty pissy person. Uh, so but it does make me think about the things that I write about, and make me really appreciate them, especially friendships. Because I can look at my sponsee, who's part of the young people's group, and this is a shout out to YP, or to the YPAW. That's a big segment of AA, is like the YPAWs. You have Lacey Paw and Arky Paw, and each state has their own young people's conference. And my sponsee's part of it, and I look at him, and I'm like, oh, he's got so many friends, and like he's so popular, and I find myself getting like this weird, like, jealousy almost. And I'm like, I have to look, and I'm like, okay, my friends are all older than me. All of my closest friends are in their 60s, and I have to think, okay, well, I am these friendships that I have, I'm grateful for. They may not be they
Around
may
much
not be
longer.
right, right. But it does help. It helps. But don't think I write this gratitude list and I go about my day levitating. Because like I said, I can still be a miserable, negative minded. One thing at work pisses me off, and I'm done for the day.
Matt, do you have a gratitude list? Do you write one?
I have. That's not something I think early on with my sponsor that we did as a regular exercise, but it's something that I have grown into with sponsees that I kind of like, because I feel like Coleman being the exception, it's hard to be both things. It's hard to be ungrateful and grateful at the same time. And I think sometimes I forget I'm supposed to be dead. I'm not supposed to be here, you know? So anything at this point's gravy, you know? And yeah, it has its moments. I'm like Coleman, I can throw a fit too, and I can do all that stuff. But normally gratitude brings me back pretty close to where I'm supposed to be. And so Lacey's real good about reminding me of gratitude stuff when I'm steam coming out of my ears. You know, that's not the time you want to hear somebody go, "What about gratitude?" You know, whatever. But yeah, she's good about that. But yeah, I don't do a regular list or anything like that. I do have a guy uh, that we all know, Anthony P. He sends me one with about 10 things on it. Man, he spends some time on that list every day. And Sunday morning, 7 o'clock, my phone goes off, his gratitude list, you know, and that's awesome, you know, and it wasn't ever an exercise to sit down and make a list, but it's something that I just think is a core of any of us recovering is gratitude. We should all be grateful. Man, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. If you can't be grateful after going through this and getting sober, you know, if you can't find things to be grateful about, I don't know what to tell you, you know?
And my
Do you share your list? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coleman.
oh, I was just going to say my home group. Um, by the way, is basic training. We meet every Sunday and Wednesday at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time at St. Luke's on Uri Drive in Shreveport. Come join us. But we have a
Shreveport, Louisiana.
do what?
Shreveport, Louisiana. We gotta
Yes, we have a
let them know.
speaker. Um, we have a speaker every last Sunday of the month, and one of our most recent speakers mentioned a gratitude list, and I had never met this guy before. He was they invited him to come speak. I didn't know who he was, and of course, if I don't know them, they're not sober. But I'm kidding. But anyways, he came and spoke, and he talked about writing a gratitude list. And so after the meeting, I called him out in the parking lot, and I'm like, "Dude, you write a gratitude list?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I write a gratitude list." So we started. I had never met this guy, and we have started a friendship that started on sending gratitude lists to each other.
And I could see that. You know, so Coleman, just quite honestly, like I said earlier, you know, when you read that thing every day over the course of time, you can basically track your life. You know, like this is because you think about it, this every day, what happened the day before, right? So I remember a particular time period, and it still happens from time to time, but there was a time period where you would basically spend the weekend at your mother's, right? And you would talk about the meals y'all would eat. You would talk about the leftovers, or when you rode into town and would go to a restaurant. And, you know, and some of those things, you know, you got to think about it. My life is a little bit different. I live a long way from everybody, and I have for a while, but I kind of miss being able to do that, right? I miss those kind of things, and it makes me say, "Hey, look, you know, Coleman, he 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 misses the work thing right now. I miss the family thing right now. You know, who knows how far apart people really are in their mental space is what I mean, because you know, I got more work than I could handle, and you had probably more family than you could handle in some of those gratitude lists, right? And so it's kind of you can live your life. We see you living your life every day, and that might be therapeutic for us even sometimes, just to think. I was a kid, and I would spend summers in Mansfield, Louisiana. Well, I spent a couple of summers in Mansfield, Louisiana. My mother's best friend had a son and two daughters, and my mother had a son and two daughters, and the two daughters were twins. And so they had this really the dynamic was really tight with my mother and this lady, and they lived in Mansfield. So we would stay in Mansfield, and a lot of times the grandmother of these children lived in Logansport. And so we would go to Logansport and spend 3 or 4 days in Logansport and at a place called, I want to say it's called Circle Drive or something like that. But whenever I read your text sometimes and you talk about going to these places south of Shreveport and all these little areas, it reminds me of my summers back when I was a kid. And, I mean, I know this is going to sound absolutely nothing to do with anything, but the first time I heard Michael Jackson's Beat It, I was walking down a street in Logansport, Louisiana, drinking a glass bottle Coke. I remember that to this day. And so when you say these things about where you're going and what you're doing, sometimes I can say, man, I know he's grateful. He's got to be grateful for some of these things just for the simple fact that I remember what it's like. I remember that. And, that's pretty cool. And it's pretty cool to not have to live in what does the 12 and 12 call morbid reflection instead of living in good reflection, whatever that is, non-morbid reflection. Because a lot of times I know I can live in morbid reflection. For some reason, the worst case scenario is always what's going to happen, no matter what. And it's never happened. I've never had the worst case scenario happen in my life. The best case scenario, probably either, right? But I can look at these things and say, hey, look, there is positive going on in Coleman's life. And then there's, and then of course, I need to think about the positive going on in mine because there's a lot of positive. I don't know, but I'm going to wake up in the morning to 35-degree weather, right? And it's probably been a while since you guys had 35-degree weather. So I'm grateful that I'm not waking up in Dallas, Texas, sweating like I was 3 months ago. And, if I put that down and I do that every day and I share that with someone, it could possibly help them. And it does. I like reading your gratitude list. I read them every day. I do.
Well,
Matt, I don't know if I would read yours, but
and I'm so vain. It reminds me of I guess you think this song is about you. I write
Carly Simon.
I write a gratitude list, and I'm like, gee, I wonder who's reading this, like, because I send it out, and I will say that I have one, two, three, four. I have four other people. So we talked about how many I send it out to. I send it to 15 people, and four of those 15 people actually do a gratitude list back. And I love reading their list. Like their lists are like, both of my friends, well, all three of my friends, but two especially, will send me a gratitude list back, and I'm like, damn, that was deep reflection. Talking about the non-morbid reflection, they reflected back on like what happened for them or to them, and I'm like, oh, that was really good. Like, why? Like, I didn't even think about something like that. So it's weird how everybody's mind does its own thing, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
No, it does. And how they view it, how they view that is different than maybe how I view it or I don't know how Matt would view it, but how people view it. Everybody's different. You're absolutely right.
Hey, it's like with Anthony, I get his every day. I mean, it's like clockwork. It's like the mail. And, there's times where I wake up and that's the first thing I see when I glance over to turn the alarm off is I've got a text from him with a gratitude list. So, he helps me a lot more than probably he thinks he does just because it puts my mind there even for a minute, of, okay, we're all out here doing this thing. So,
So Coleman, do you have has your place of employment given you a phone yet?
No.
Okay, well you should have one. You'll get one. I'll follow up with you on that later, but you will get one, and I have one. And in case anybody knows, me and Coleman work at for the same company, just 1,800 miles apart. And so they give you a phone. I got one, and it's sitting right over there. But I put a SIM card in it, and that was the G&B phone forever, Grouch, the phone for the podcast. And I do get that gratitude list that Matt's talking about. Come to think of it, it's just on my work phone as opposed to on the one that I keep right by my bed. Um, so you may want to send unwanted gratitude lists to your work. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking with
Hey,
whoever that is. I'm,
I can see Coleman also going, this is going to be the best gratitude list anybody's ever
oh
sent right
yeah, I'm
here.
gonna knock
Like
this one out of the park.
this, they're
Knock
going
it
to
out.
be just knocked over with this thing, every day.
Well, I
So
mean, I gotta admit, I have to admit, and you might even too, Matt, if you send out a gratitude list to 15 people every day, you wonder how many's gonna read it. You do.
I
And
had
you ought to make all 15 turn on their red receipts, Coleman, so that you know when they read it.
Yes.
we
That
I
had
would
a
be
guy a few years back was we had the same sponsor. Guy was new in the deal, and it was our sponsor sobriety birthday. And so this guy texts me and he says, "Hey man, let's both text our sponsor and say, hey, good morning and happy birthday from your favorite sponsee. And then wait 5 minutes and you text him the same thing and see what he says. And I was like, that's great, that's great. We'll see who his favorite sponsee is. And he said, good morning to both of us. That's what he said. So anyway, we tried it, we tried it. So
I spent an awful lot of time thinking about that. That's
man, look, we're alcoholics. We think about a lot of wild stuff. So
I believe you. I believe you. So I guess in the long run, there's nothing wrong with doing a gratitude list, and there's nothing wrong with sharing that information. And I do. I appreciate it. I want to. Matt was telling me. You said, Matt, today y'all started a vision for you. Is that right?
yes, yes, in our
And
big book study, yes.
yeah, I mean, where else would you start it, Matt?
Well, I don't know if people in Ireland know that I'm at the Koala Club
I
doing
bet.
and just left.
Oh yeah, he's at the Koala Club soaking up the Wi-Fi, Coleman.
That's
That's
right.
where he
That's right.
he's. Are you in the Al-Anon room?
Yes.
And they still have hand sanitizer.
Look, I paid
Um,
my $60 to be a member here, and the only thing I've really gotten out of it is the Wi-Fi.
Matt, you're on a board. You get that free
But I still pay. So because I donate.
because
So
no one told me it was free until now.
no, 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 no. They told me they try to
Um,
return it, but
but what I like about this, and we're going to tie this just a little bit into to a vision for you, but it says the very first paragraph, Coleman could probably quote it word for word, right? But it's for most normal folks, drinking means conviviality, companionship, and colorful imagination. Okay. And I'll just read that one sentence, right? So I think sometimes when I read these gratitude lists, whether it's Coleman's or my own, I can have companionship and colorful imagination. And there's even some conviviality there, right? Just in the fact that we're sharing what's going on in our lives with someone else or ourselves, but there is that there. And I don't need that alcohol, right? I'm not necessarily going to read the rest because it doesn't necessarily take me out of boredom and worry. But for a few seconds there, whether I'm on my way to work or just sitting somewhere, this gratitude thing is really a good thing. And my I have four grandkids, right? And sometimes I forget I have four, and so I'll get all thinking about how my son's son is in South Carolina and my son's daughter's in South Carolina. But I got my daughter has two kids too, and they're closer. They're in Louisiana, and everybody's okay. And those are the gratitude parts of it when I dip off into poor pitiful me. And so I have to actually think about gratitude a lot whenever I get off into some stinking thinking. Is that what they call it? Stinking. They still call it stinking thinking, or has that been reworded since the?
as far
Well, I
as I
don't know.
know,
Maybe they do. I saw a show one day and they said the word stinking thinking, and I go, it must be a AA. Oh, It was the books I was reading, the Robichaux
Well,
books.
so one of the things that and for those of everyone out there listening, yes, I was unemployed for like a year and a month or a year and a couple months. I can't really remember, but one of the things that I did during unemployment was run my primary credit card up really high, and I don't want to say maxed out, but detrimentally close. And so the twist of the mind, when you can, talking about this thinking, I was, uh, feeling dejected. I had been on interviews. I had, been putting myself out there, blah, 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 trying to find work, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible. I have no money, blah, blah, blah. Dude, one of the things that I was grateful for during that year of unemployment was a credit card. And I had to look at it like that. I had to look at it like, thank God I have this, thank God, one, that I have really good credit. And thank God, two, that I have, this credit card that I can kind of fall back on. And, there were, in fact, a couple of times I put rent on my credit card, and I'm paying for that now. But I'm still thankful for that during that time, because it was what I needed when I needed it, at the moment I needed it.
Well, well, first off, a lot of people who were unemployed for a year can't say they still have good credit, so that's good. That's something to be grateful for. And number two, you probably should have a Sky Miles credit card. If you're if you're paying rent on a credit card, get them miles, dude. Fly somewhere. That's what. So when I lived in Texas, I put every bit of my rent on a credit card just so I would get those Sky Miles, so I could fly all over for free. And it cost me like $40 per rent, but that's cheaper than the airline price would have been. So I'm actually, just FYI, just for future, hopefully you won't have to do that. but um but dude, but having good credit after a year of unemployment, Coleman, that's a plus, right? And most people couldn't do that. You get pretty bogged down after a year, and you have a really good support system too with your mother and your family, and always having somewhere to go,
What
and
we
that's pretty cool too. You maintained a home.
we actually sold. So my mom and dad, my daddy passed, but my mom, we had 10
Mhm.
acres, and we ended up selling four, and then recently we sold two more to a cousin of mine who's putting a double wide next to my mom. Um, but anyways, we sold those 2 acres earlier this year, or this past year. I can't remember when exactly we sold them, but I mean, that even gave me a little bit of running money while I was, that kind of kept me afloat for a little while. So, because there for a while, it was getting to the point where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And so I was always grateful for, the credit card and the land we sold and every little thing that, my, and yeah, and my mom, I hate being a 40 plus year old, um, dude that needs his mom, but I'm grateful for my mom's still alive and is willing to, do what she does.
Yeah, that's a good mother, and that is grateful, and that's because, again, just the older you get, the less you have that. And I've met both of Matt's parents. I know they're both still around.
Yep. 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 Yeah, I'm still very grateful. I mean, I still get interactions with all of them. I still see them all. I see grandbabies. I see my kids. I mean, it's great. It's great.
So anyway, that is I think it's a good subject. It's something that, instead of just hearing it at a meeting or hearing it from a sponsor, hearing it from people who actually do it and do it every day and share it with people. I think that's, and it maybe somebody out there listen to this show and say, "Hey, I'm going to try that." And guys, if you want to text me your gratitude list every day, I'll gladly take it. And yes, I'm going to read it.
Well,
So, and I mean, sometimes my days are hectic and I read it when they're hectic.
and I challenge everybody to, like I said, we're all, I would say, more or less, I hope, that we're all grateful for clothing and air and food. And, so I challenge everybody to like look at your day, go back through your day, and like, who did you talk to? What did you see? What, you know, did you, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of my list this morning, and I can't even think of anything. But I try to think about my day prior and like what happened and the interactions that I had and the people that I talked to and the places that I went. Well, one of them last night was intergroup. We had intergroup here, which is you know a, a, a culmination of groups come together to put on a fundraiser for central office, and there's a speaker and food and every fellowship. And last night the speaker, not one of the speakers, the speaker was one of my former sponsors, and he did a phenomenal job. And and that went on my gratitude list today because I was like, okay, what happened yesterday? Well, I went to intergroup. Intergroup was great, So, like I said, I try to look at the day prior and like the activities and everything of that.
Sure.
Was there a chime? I heard a
Matt,
chime.
you gonna do that from now on? When we get off this, you're gonna do that?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sending it to you, buddy. Just you.
Okay. I'll take
All
it.
right. All right.
I'll take it. The more the merrier. The more gratitude list I can get, the merrier.
It
And
is an attitude changer.
well, it does. It kind of forces you to, for at least if it's just a second. There's a friend of mine down in South Louisiana, and we'll wrap this up here in a second, guys. I know everybody's got stuff to do. It's not 5:43 there like it is here, but everybody in South Louisiana, we had this guy, and his name was Vic. And he would always talk about when he got sober, his thought pattern didn't completely change, but it shifted just a little bit, right? And just that one little shift had changed his life. I think Vic has a little bit more than me. So he may have 15, 16 years by now, or 16 or 17 years by now. So he's been sober quite a while, but he always talks about that. And I think that whenever I write a gratitude list or whenever I read a gratitude list, my thought pattern just shifts just a tad for that little second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Even just the reaching out, it's like look at your phone and somebody from AA's text me about whatever it is. Craig sent me something today that was funny. It had nothing to do with sobriety. But when I look over at those things, it just keeps my train of thought where it needs to be.
all right. Well, guys, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Anybody got anything left?
I'm glad Coleman came back after a hiatus.
So Coleman was on episode 15. His story is on episode 15. If anybody wants to go back and look at it, that's where you're going to find it, episode 15. And that
Wait,
was actually recorded. Hang on, I'll tell you the exact date I published it anyway. Was on, oh, come on, man. You got to wait for the scroll. Wait for the scroll. It was on June the 19th of 2023. So 2 years and, oh man, 4 months, something like that. So yeah, 2 years and 4 months. So Coleman, glad to have you back after 2 years and 4 months. Um, And guys, anybody, if you want to listen to it, episode 15, go back and pull Coleman's story. And Coleman, we do thank you. And of course,
Yep.
you do have your own music. Every time we mention Coleman on the show, we have several times, whether it's just a conversation or just wishing a happy birthday or something, we
Well,
mention you have your own. You're the only person that has your own music, by the way.
well, where was Jill tonight?
Jill left the show probably about 6 or 7 episodes ago.
Okay.
He had contract demands.
It was
You know,
outrageous.
we couldn't work through we our people are talking to her people. We'll let them get it. Now I think Jill just got kind of tired of doing the show. And, after a couple years of just sitting in front of a microphone, and then Jill was moving on, her job was getting better or something. She was going to have a new task. And so the only way I could record would be drive over during a weekday. And that would be put Jill awake late into the night, or, for her, after she takes care of the farm. And so it was really getting to be the time constraints was the biggest thing, because she just could not record late, and I couldn't make it over there on weekends when she's off. So she just decided she would bow out gracefully. And so I think that was episode like 127 where Jill left. And we picked up Hayden for a couple of episodes. So, he sat in with us for a few episodes, and Chris C sat in for a few episodes. And then we recorded a few, like 6 episodes, and then I left. And then while I was moving, we didn't do anything, but I published one a week. And then now that this is the format I'm trying right now, is what we're doing. And so until I can get the video aspect of it a little bit fine-tuned in to where you can't really tell we're different places, and I'm using the software that we're using now. But and she did agree to come back on the show eventually.
Yep.
So yeah, I think her last episode was episode 123. So August the 10th was the last time we recorded with Jill. Yeah. So we miss her. Rest her soul. She had a restless soul. So, hopefully she can rest it now.
And I
But
did. I talked to her a few days ago. I told her that we had been continually making fun of her on every episode so far, and she said, "Please continue to do so." So,
and and I texted her on her birthday a couple of weeks ago. She had a birthday, a big one. I'm not going to say how old she is, but half a century, give or take, right there on it. But so she's the same age as I don't know, me
some
now.
of
But
some of Coleman's friends.
oh no, she's not quite got there. Quite, she has not joined that club, but she's not going the other direction either. So
Ain't we
So
all?
anyway, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this show. Coleman, appreciate you. Keep sending them gratitude lists. Anybody out there that want one, shoot me, Matt Coleman, or our website or Instagram a message, and we'll get it to him. But from Reno and Bossier and now Shreveport, this has been the Grouch and the Brainstorm.